Welcome to my newest how-to video, and I'm going to show you how to use a micro mini mold from Sophistication. I'll show you both with the compactor and without the compactor. So the first thing you'll need for tools besides the mold is a spoon. And then some sort of scraper tool. So you can use any of these kinds of things, or some people like to use my unmolding plates. Up to you. There's also, you can use a knife or whatever. So this is how you use the mold without the compactor, or how I use it. I mean, you could find another way that you prefer. So first I lightly sprinkle some mix into the mold, and then I use my fingers to kind of press down the mix a bit into each of the holes, into the cavities, and then I just keep adding mix, and I guess using my thumbs to press the mix in. Now I want to overfill it, but if you look over here, it's not actually fully filled. See how there's like a little gap between the top and the wall? So I'm just going to add a bit more mix so I really fill it in, and I'm just constantly using my thumbs to press it in. And then this is the tool I prefer. And I'm basically going to scrape off all that excess mix, and then the bottom of my bath bombs will be flat. And I'll talk about why I do that multiple times. And then I just use my hands to kind of smooth it out. And then I do lots of tapping. And you want to give some good force there. And then you just kind of flip it over. I usually kind of slam it down onto my tray, although that's not necessary, and we'll talk about that. And that's how it comes out. Now, with the compactor, which I don't use, but I'll chat about that in a bit. So I'm starting off the same way, but the reason I developed the compactor is some people had hand mobility issues, and so I'm assuming they can't use their thumbs and stuff like that, like both thumbs in the same way. So I just use my pointy finger to press it in, as opposed to kind of using both my hands. Again, I don't know if they're doing that, and I have another method later. As you saw, I kind of overfilled it a teensy bit, and then I use the compactor and I kind of line it up and press it there. I'm just getting a little excess mix out of there. And then I put it on my table, and I'm using that top to press the mix in there. I'm just trying to get a little of the excess mix out of here. And because the compactor pushed it down, there's actually like a little bit of more, I guess, it's just not as deep as I like, so I just added a bit more mix, but you didn't have to do that. So then I'm just going to compact it again. And same exact method. So, and I use my full body weight there. I could repeat that process 1 or 2 times more, but I'm good with this and how it is. And I'll chat again a little bit more about the bottoms in a moment. So then I'm just tapping all around. The unmolding process is exactly the same. Flip it over. Sometimes I tap after I flip to make sure that it'll all come out. And lift it up, and oops, one is still in there. So what I'm just going to do is hold it like very little bit above the tray and tap it, and it falls right out onto there. So these are how they're finished. So I wanted to show you a comparison of how they look with compactor and without. And on the left, you can see the tops. They basically look the same. But on the bottom, the bottoms are looking a little bit different. Oops, I'm talking too much. Okay, so anyway, options and troubleshooting. So one option is this is the reason why I scrape multiple times, because sometimes if I do one scrape, there's kind of a little hole in a divot in there, which then you just add more mix and continue on. So that's the only reason I showed you that. Okay, I just talked over all this tapping, but I left the audio in that part so you could hear how kind of hard I'm hitting that mold. But I think I leave the audio in later. See how all those other ones just kind of popped around when I smashed that over there? So sometimes you want to throw it down, but sometimes that might cause your other ones to pop around. So just be aware of that. Now this is one where after I tapped it, it didn't all come out. So I just have that mold slightly, like less than ½ inch above the tray, and I'm tapping and letting the bath bombs fall out of the mold. As long as I'm not super high up, that's fine. It's going to just fall out and I can hear them popping down. I wanted to show you how I do my donut mold. And so you can see here that it's a little bit more annoying to press that in. And so now what a lot of times I do with my micro mini molds is I just smoosh the mix in. I don't know if that's the term, but see how I'm just like using my palms to smoosh it in. So sometimes I don't do that initial like pushing down with my thumbs or fingers, and I just do a lot of smooshing. I wanted to just chat a moment. When I make my bath bombs, I don't use the compactor. I find it's not necessary for my making, but I did develop it because I just wanted to pause so you can hear how much tapping I'm doing here. So I developed it at customers' requests because there were some customers who just couldn't press it in as much. But I don't recommend them that compactor piece. Like, it's just an extra expense that's not really needed unless you really want the look of the bath bomb on the bottom to look a little more, kind of smooth. Although, as you saw in those comparison shots earlier, there are other aspects to it because the compactor has to be a teensy bit smaller than the opening to make sure that it kind of fits in there. And so you do kind of get those edges, which are, again, very easy to clean up. So I just wanted to show you a couple more times. And here is one where instead of slamming it down, I just placed it on the tray. And that just means I need to tap a lot more to get them out. And that's it. I hope that helped, and happy making.